The teacher treats you nice in special education and the work is so easy, but we are required to pass the CASI to graduate from high school. And since the things they teach you in special education is not what they have on the CASI, it is hard to pass that test and you do not have any option, pass it or don't graduate. It is hard because we are not taught the same academic material that regular education students receive. Now, one of the things that I want to note that is true what he said about the CASI, but they do make an exception in that if they do not pass the CASI, they won't earn a diploma, but that they can get a certificate, and that certificate will allow them to go to at least community college. But they also have the opportunity to go back and still try to pass the CASI, you know, so that they can get the diploma. A5, I am in high school and began in special education, and being in special education, feels like when I was in middle school. The assignment and lessons that they give us are too easy. Special education has been beneficial to me because it helped me to learn to read, but I cannot write a sentence. And then student participant A6. When they put you in SDC, you can't get out until you graduate. I dropped out for a year and came back because even though you are not being taught the same things that they are teaching the general education students, I said, forget it. I need my high school diploma. It is better to have a diploma going through special education rather than none at all. So we see here that when you're evaluating what's happening to the students, it's not something that's very, well, it's not really nice, you know, because first of all, everybody wants a part of the dream. Everybody wants the opportunity to be able to have a part of that dream. And when you take a student, especially a student that's starting out in special ed in kindergarten, sometimes I can't understand how, I couldn't as I did the research, how can a kid be put in special ed in kindergarten? Look out to me, they would be able to work with that child, you know, the parents and the teacher, to be able to get them to the level they need to be in regular ed without having to put them in special education. But that's not happening. And so what is happening is that they're being put in there, being told, parents are being told, oh, they'll get one. And a lot of times, as I did the research, let's see, and being a special education teacher myself, they put too many in the classroom for them to get one-on-one help, you see. So it's kind of like a vicious circle. Okay, the student questionnaire results from the focus group. Anyway, I used the Likert scale, as I said before, for the questionnaire opinion survey as a part of the study. One disagree and two agree. And then I used separate interview questions, and for research question 2, the numbers were 2, 4 to 14 in the questionnaire. And for research question 3, 1, 3 through 13, and 20. And then I took those questions and collaborated them with the interview questions that I did with the students, the other interview questions. So it was 2 sets altogether. All right, now we're looking at the themes. I told you that I ended up developing 10, used 3 because they had a common consensus together. After analyzing these 10 common themes, like I said, I ended up with 3. So let's look at theme 1. I have dreams. Student participant A1. I would like to play professional football or basketball and become a professional athlete. My second plan is to become a lawyer. In order to become a lawyer, I have to go to college, and before I can go to college, I have to get my high school diploma. Student participant A2. I just want to make sure that I have a better life. Sometimes I have or cannot understand things, but I want to make sure that I go to college and see if I can try to play some sports. Participant A3, I want to go to the NFL and play for the Cowboys as a running back. I want to go to college and earn a degree in sociology. Some of them are pretty good athletes that I was talking to. Participant A4, I want to graduate from high school and I have thought about going to college, doing a trade, or going to the military. I have been interested in learning about designing games. So these are some of the dreams of the 10 students that they have. All of them have viable dreams, you know. But, you know, when you look at some of the things as a special education teacher, the first thing I thought to my mind, your goals are too high. But then I say, who am I to say that? You know, they have a right to have these goals. And so the key is getting out of special education, getting to regular education, getting the right curriculum so that you'll be able to be prepared to go out into the world. Theme 2, it is in their best interest. Student participant A7. He said, I was in 4th grade when I was placed in special education. I did not like the special education classes because they were small in comparison to general education classes. In middle school, I was put in some general education classes, but when my family moved to this city and I enrolled in this school, they put me in all special education classes. I told them I was taking SDC and general education classes, and the counselor told me to forget about the regular education classes. I told my mom, and she told me, he said, my mom told me to do what the school says to do. Okay, student participant A. I was placed in special education in the 3rd grade, and now I'm a senior and in special education. I was placed in special education because I am not where I need to be in my grade level, but after 9 years in SDC, it seems that being put in special education was not in my best interest. Student participant A6. I believe that I was placed in special education somewhere between 2nd and 3rd grade, and I do not really know why. All I remember is that the school gave me a test, and I know one of my teachers had recommended that I be given the test, but she did not tell me why. I later learned that my parents had been told that being in special education was in my best interest, and I could learn better working with teachers on a one-to-one basis. All right, so we see here that the students are not receiving what they thought they were going to receive, and so they say it in the long run it was not in their best interest. Theme 3, I have to do what I have to do. Student participant A1, I am not satisfied with being in special education, but I know that I want to graduate from high school and go to college, so I will do what I have to do to be successful. Participant A2, I'm in the 9th grade, and this is my first year in high school. I was given half SDC and half regular education classes. I never knew regular education classes would be so hard. I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting it right so that it won't have to do so difficult. It won't have to be so difficult. So I'm trying to do what I have to do, but my SDC classes are so easy compared to regular education. And student participant A3, I'm not a fast learner like the regular education students who have been in regular education since kindergarten, but I have been in special education since kindergarten, and you have to teach me real slow, and I will get it, but I am determined to do what I have to do to succeed. Okay, so again, the student narratives for the 3 themes indicate there's a discrepancy between special education and regular education, and that the students have dreams. They said, most of them, that it was not in their best interest, but they're going to do what they have to do to be able to be successful and at least try to get a high school diploma and move on from there. Most of them are saying that, well, maybe I can get some help once I, graduate from high school in the other areas so I can do what I want. So, bringing it to the summary, the conclusion, and the recommendations. Again, the purpose of the study was to examine the disproportionate placement of African American males in the high incident category of SDC, look at their experiences in the program, and also look to see where they receiving the type of education that they thought that they should be receiving as the regular education students are. Again, it was formed on the mixed method of qualitative and quantitative research paradigm. And again, I use comparative methods as the main qualitative data analysis strategy, and to form triangulations with the use of charts, figures, and tables to verify the data. I revisit the research questions in Chapter 5 and discuss the findings, and on each one of those with the overarching sub-questions to all the adult participants in Chapter 4. Is how is it related again to overrepresentation, experiences, and the type of education. Next, in Chapter 5, I covered what is called racism, And the reason I cover that is because using the critical race theory by Derek Bell, it lets you see exactly what you need to do, what is happening in regards to racism and education in the system. So I expounded on that theory, and using that, I said, I looked at Derek Bell's work, and he was saying that there were two forms of racism, and they're called individual racism and institutional racism. He covered those more, and I felt like this fitted more into what I needed in order to work with the K through 12 public school system. Because individual racism is something when a person look at a person, another person, and feel like that person is inferior and they are superior. Institutional racism is the policies and things that are set up in society that will hinder a group of people or a race of people from being successful in what they want to do. So institutional racism is prevalent in the K through 12 system, and this is why we're having these issues of overrepresentation of African American black males. Can I get a drink of water?
She gonna kill me something.
Okay. Implications for research and recommendation for further study. I had a bunch. I found out that there were not really implications, as Dr. Daly was telling me. So I left the one in there that we decided upon. And this research can contribute to the district and school-wide, state, and national knowledge of how institutional racism, economic disparity, low expectations of educators, and low parental involvement in the K through 12 public school system can contribute to overrepresentation and disproportionate placement of the participants, African American males. The few recommendations for further study that I have listed here is that a study could be conducted to explore what additional means of support are required to ensure that African American male students are successful in reading, math, and science while in the special education SDC classroom. Just because they are in there does not mean that they should not be able to be given the materials to help them get to the levels that they need to get to. So this is the main thing that I'm seeing, is that they are not being able to get to the levels that they need to get to so that they can progress on. Remember, IDEA was set up for the purpose of them going into these classes to be able to raise their levels of learning and then get out of SDC or the special ed and go back into the grade ed. That's where it was originally set up to be, not a dumping ground. Okay, also further studies. A study could be conducted to explore the impact of single-parent homes on overrepresentation of African American males in that program. And also a study could be conducted to examine the disproportionate placement of African American males in rural and suburban school districts and the type of education they are receiving and their experiences. Okay, now my recommendations are broken down for the adults in the district, and these are some of them that I put in here. For the parents, recommendations: parents should get actively involved in their children's education, get an advocate that understands special education laws and language. The district should enforce the policies already mandated and require teachers to have an extensive training in culturally responsive and relevant teaching strategies. Teachers, when African American teachers, males, are placed in special education for an authentic academic disability, hold them at the same academic standards as regular education students. Don't lower it, but hold them at the same. Work with them, hold them at the same. Teachers need to demand success of their students and use words to motivate their students. Principals should promote school policies that address overrepresentation of African American male students in the SDC program, and they should stress to the teachers and other staff the high priority of the school is academic achievement, not just for some students, but for all students, and provide various training that includes special education teachers and teachers' aides. The school psychologists, they're very important because they play a large role in students being placed into special education. So, according to Dr. Abdullah Johnson, African American males are victims to psychological terrorism. Therefore, school psychologists should take